Conversation will come to order.
Council Kadim?
Here.
Council Kilby?
Yep.
Council Libby-Noel? Here. Council Viveras?
Here.
Chairman Moore?
Here. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. We have public input. I'd like to call Thomas Hargis, 188 Hope Street, Fall River.
All together, Steve?
No, they're speaking separate. Just sit right there. Just state your name and address for the record. You're limited to 3 minutes. Are you going to keep track of that?
Is that microphone on?
The microphone on? Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath and
Take your time.
speak into the microphone. Just say your name and address for the record, please.
So, good evening. My name
not on.
is.
That's not on. What's the tape for on all the
I
microphones?
don't know. These things drive me crazy. Okay, just hold it close to you. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Hargis. I live at 188 Hope Street, and I'm a sophomore at Durfee High School. I'm also a Boy Scout in Troop 15, and I started this plastic environment project with my mom and Cuss Middle School teacher, Mr. Michael, in 8th grade. I have lived in Fall River for my whole life, and I've been studying the ocean since I was 4. I'm the graduate of the Sea Lab program in New Bedford, Massachusetts in 2018. Recently, I've become a certified scuba diver at Bob Cienski. I'm here today to talk to you about plastic in our waters. By the time I'm done speaking my 3 minutes with you, 3 garbage trucks of plastic will be dumped into our oceans. And, so please watch this 2-minute video about that. I can show you guys.
Sure.
That.
You put lips back.
I'm sorry, the sound doesn't seem to be working.
Seeing plastic everywhere. We were in what we thought was a relatively pristine environment. I started to wonder what was happening in oceans elsewhere on the planet. Growing up, my world was the ocean. It's where I feel the most spiritual.
As a freediver, it was the place where I proved myself to myself. Finally, I have the opportunity to pay the sea back.
Only a fraction of the plastic that we produce is recycled. This is never going to degrade. It's got nowhere to go. This was something that these animals, they were forced to endure because it was man-made and we put it into their environment.
The record is 276 pieces of plastic inside of one 90-day-old chick.
If the plastics are in the food chain for the dolphin, they're also in our food chain.
Exactly. The communities are built on these landfill sites. So sweet potatoes, corn, sugar cane, all growing on 40 years of garbage. Do you have anything not wrapped in plastic? No. We have to make our life better for our kids' children. Change is possible. It starts with us.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What was your name again?
Thomas Hargis.
Sophomore term.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Next person signed up is Eileen Wheeler Sheehan. State your name and address, please.
Eileen Wheeler Sheehan, 668 River Road, Westport, Massachusetts. However,
Can you just pull that in a little closer?
however, I am a 30-year business owner in Fall River, so I do have a strong stake in this city.
Motion to waive the rules.
Second.
I'm
All
sorry.
those in
We
favor?
waive the rules to allow you to speak because
Oh.
you're not a resident.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
I thank you very much for hearing this. And yesterday in USA Today, it was announced that the Himalayas, Mount Everest, the area had decided to ban plastic use, single-use plastics. If they can do it, then we as a city should be doing it. I know there are lots of different ways to get to it, but we should not delay. And you haven't been introduced yet, but he's representing Green Futures. I'm, among other things, the South Coast Green Party. There are several other groups that would like very much to support your activity. We're very, very grateful that you're moving forward with a ban, first step, on single-use, the thin plastic bags or T-shirt bags that you dispense at the counters in retail. Please consider doing that. It's a change of habit, but we haven't had this habit. We haven't had these bags earlier than the late 70s. This is a recent convenience that is toxic for the environment, and I very much appreciate, I would love to work with you to get something that makes sense for everybody in Fall River. Thank you.
Thank you. Just as a, just to inform those who are here supporting this initiative, this is the first step. There's a resolution for us to study, and I know that Sheehan is going to forward to our clerk some model legislation for us to consider for an ordinance. Those will be coming shortly. What will happen tonight is we'll just get a consensus of what the committee feels, but what probably will happen is it'll be tabled. Your information that you forward to the clerk will go up to Corporation Counsel. He'll review it. He'll probably send it back to us, so we've got to keep the pressure on Corporation Counsel to do his job and get it back to us. So then, once it comes back to us, we'll have another meeting, we'll review it, we'll agree at some point on some type of legislation, which we'll forward up to the city council, and then when it goes before the city council, that's when you want to put your big foot forward and say what you need to say, so that that ordinance gets passed in Fall River. So that's how it works. So we
We
got.
just want to make sure that we get the smartest bill possible. We
Right.
don't want to push a particular thing, but we do want to push a sensible thing.
We just don't want to get it, we want to get it right, so.
That's right, exactly right.
So that's how it's gonna work. So at this point, we appreciate your interest. We're glad you came. And we'll probably have a little conversation about this at this point, but it'll probably get tabled. Doesn't mean it's dead. It means we're just gonna get the legislation ready so that we can review it and send it on to the full council for consideration.
He came in late, he's a citizen, and said he'd like to speak. Is it possible for him still?
Yeah,
to
he can
do
speak in 3 minutes.
James Hornsby, 260 Lake Ave, Green Futures.
Mr. Hornsby, can
Yeah,
you just
pull the
speak
mic
in the
over.
Sorry. As unaccustomed to public speaking
We
here.
want to hear what you have to
No,
say.
You're new to this, I know. You've never done this before.
Right, just come to church on Sunday, you'll hear it. James Hornsby, 260 Lake Ave, Fall River, Secretary Green Futures, Rector Emeritus, St. Luke's Episcopal Church. I support this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank right, guys, we know what we're doing here, so anybody have any comments on what they want to do?
Yep.
Like I said, Ms. Sheehan's going to be forwarding some model other communities that have passed this legislation, so that we can send something to Corporation Council for review. So I think the only thing we need to do tonight is just probably vote on sending that information on to Corporation Council for his opinion to get back to us. Is that correct?
To, put together some information, proposed ordinance.
So, motion to take item 6 out of order?
Second?
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to table?
I actually wanted to speak.
Say a second. Motion to table.
But we're gonna refer, right?
We want to refer.
Make a motion to refer to Corporation Council.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna happen automatically, but that's.
Yeah, but rather than do it, we'll just send it direct. That way he can just,
Makes sense.
and just tell him to put something together for us to consider. All right, so we got a motion to refer the information and to request Corporation Council to put together an ordinance for this issue. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's your motion?
Sure.
Is that a second?
Sure.
The motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
My turn?
Councilor Bo.
Thank you. To the clerk,
Second.
she was
Reverend
sending
Osby,
you how
can-
many,
you can go.
I'm really hard of hearing. I'll be quiet. Could I sit here?
Sure.
what exactly was, Eileen, I'm sorry, I didn't get her last name. What was she sending you? Sheehan.
She said some ordinances that are in effect in other areas.
When you get those from her, would you pass them on to this committee
Pass
as
it to
well?
all committee members.
And then, can I have the floor? Thank you. So this is something that has been in the works for a while. It went to I was happy to sponsor this with Councilor Stephen Camara. It went to both Ordinance and the Committee on Health and Environmental Affairs. We thought that the Health and Environmental Affairs Committee should vet it there first. Unfortunately, at one point, I believe it might have been tabled because Councilor Camara thought that a statewide ban was going to be put into place. That seems to be a bit off, but there are 100 cities and towns, including Boston, that have already passed some type of legislation. And just in neighboring communities, I was at Walmart in Dartmouth. They've already switched from a single-use plastic bag to a heavier-duty. It's reusable 125 times. It says you can wash it. They were great bags. So Stop and Shop is also, back in April, they were in support of a statewide ban. I think it might be a little more of a challenge for the smaller stores, but nothing that we can't overcome or they can't overcome. And like they said, it was smart legislation that they were looking for. If big cities like Boston do it, if you go to the Cape, almost all of those towns, I believe, have switched over. They're all using paper bags. Dartmouth, Walmart was the first I saw of a heavier duty plastic reusable bag. But I know people will say, and I've heard, there's so many other things going on in the community, why is this important? You should be working on something else. But they're all pieces of what makes a city function and function well. And I want our city to be environmentally aware and aware of the environment and the ocean. And wonderful job by the gentleman, Thomas Hogwarts, I'm going to say that wrong, from Durfee. Well done. I actually had the chance to go over to the Doran after-school program just before they ended last year, and they had collected, at that time, I want to say it was 10,000 plastic bags, and we're working with our DCM to dispose of them or reuse them in other ways. I know there was someone that was making mats for our homeless residents. That's one thing that they're doing with those bags. After this, I'll also be happy to be putting in another environmentally aware type resolution in regards to balloon releases, because those also go into our ocean and harm our animals and wildlife, and I'm not in favor of those either. There's certainly lots of other ways that we can do things in the city that will benefit everyone, businesses, residents, animals, and the environment. So hopefully we'll put some smart legislation together, and this will pass unanimously here and then again in full council. With that, I yield.
Councilor Kadim.
The only thing I just want to add is, I know we're going to get some, I guess, sample legislations. I just ask that we get a number of them, because there's a number of communities that, a majority of them are towns and not necessarily cities, but the details, again, the devil's in the detail, and I think some of these bylaws that have been submitted, while they all ban plastic bags, there is some very, very good ones that are very specific, so I just want to make sure we have a good range to pull from. I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel, but I think there are communities that actually went through a very long process and thinking this through, what the impact would be to, obviously, the businesses, how the implementation would go, when it would take effect, and things of that nature. So I just want to make sure that we cover it in the ordinance as we go forward. So I'd just like to see as many samples as possible.
I've seen some of the models, and Ms. Sheehan's going to be forwarding them to the clerk. The clerk is going to carbon copy all of us on all of them.
Yep.
Once you get them, you read them. If that's not enough for you, please get in contact with me. I will contact Ms. Sheehan, we'll get some more. Like I said before, we want to do it, but we want to do it right, so
Right.
we can do that.
So that's what I'll do, and I'll see if I can pull some from the samples that I have as well,
Okay.
and just forward them over.
All right, appreciate that.
I yield.
Anyone else, any more comments? Okay, we have a motion to refer this to Corporation Council. That was made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Can I get a motion to take number 5 out of order?
Motion so made?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Number 5 is a revision to the City of Fire Alarm ordinances.
We do minutes?
Number 5. Took it out of order.
Just before we get started, all the people who are here for the T-shirt bags, we just sent that, you can go. We're good. We just sent that to Corporation Council. He'll be getting back to us.
I couldn't hear, but you said that you were going to introduce an addition and that it's possible.
No, I'll be in touch with you. We're gonna see what you have. See what you have. If it's not enough, I'll get back to you. We'll keep in touch. We'll let you know what's going on. You're welcome.
The what?
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Quite all right.
So,
Wanted to be aware it was not my fault.
well, my kids cut them.
Yeah, I'm here to speak about, my name is Deputy Chief Roger St. Martin, City of Fall River, City Fire Marshal. I'm here to speak in regard to the revised fire ordinances in the city. Just a little background, in 2016, when I first made Deputy Chief, that was one of my first initiatives, was to change the fire alarm system that had been around since the 30s. At that time, when I first made Deputy Chief, we also were aware that Verizon was getting out of the landline telephone industry as well. So we had to make a decision on what we were going to do. I formed a committee of local fire alarm companies and communication specialists, and we decided on a radio alarm system, which we have in the city right now. Started out with the municipal buildings and then opened it up into the private industry as well. When we did that, it opened up the door to private alarm companies as well, because in the meantime, the state fire code had changed where private industry can monitor fire alarm systems. Therein lies the problem now. We had control over the fire alarm systems prior to this. We knew when the alarms were active, when they were and when they were inactive. Now we don't have that ability on I think it's 60 properties in the city that aren't covered by us right now. So we amended these ordinances now just to give us a little bit more teeth in that regard now. So it's what we're trying to do is maintain the $300 fee, because those are the occupancies we go to most, the ones that have the sprinkler systems. By city ordinance, any building in the city that has a sprinkler system has to be monitored. Okay, and it says it has to be monitored by the city. However, the state law supersedes that ordinance. Okay. So these are some of the changes now. Again, we're going to do annual testing on these private alarms as well. So we're looking at it by NFPA standard. They have to ring within 90 seconds. If they fail to meet that 90-second standard, we give them a couple of days. I think it's 7 days to actually meet the standard. At that time, if they don't meet the standard, then we're going to part of this ordinance is to make them hook up to the city's fire alarm system. And believe it or not, the city's fire alarm system is cheaper than most private alarm companies, if not all private alarm companies, because we don't charge a monthly fee. We don't charge a monthly monitoring fee. We charge a $300 fire alarm permit fee, and that's it. So along with that, there's fines involved as well, if after those 7 days.
So if I'm clear on this, you have a state law that says private fire alarm companies can monitor fire alarms?
Absolutely, yes.
And then this ordinance will do what exactly?
It's up to the fire chief to approve, or the authority having jurisdiction, which in this case is the fire chief, to approve the private alarm companies as well. Okay, so it gives them some latitude there. Okay, but the chief has decided to allow private fire alarm companies in to abide by the state law. But now, if the alarm companies, okay, if the radio boxes or whoever they're connected, whether it be internet, whether it's cellular, however they're connected, if they fail to meet the 90-second standard when we do our testing, then if they don't rectify that problem, by this ordinance, will make them hook up to the city's fire alarm system.
So they first have a chance to
Oh, absolutely.
test it?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And they have a week, 7 days to actually rectify the problem.
But this will also institute a fee for anybody who has an alarm system? What if I'm a private company, I have a legitimate alarm company that passes all do I have to pay a fee to the city?
An alarm company?
I'm an alarm company, and I'm monitoring Amazon, whatever.
Yeah.
Do I have to pay a fee?
It wouldn't be the responsibility of the alarm company, it'd be the responsibility of the business itself.
No, I'm just saying, would the business
Yes.
have to pay a fee?
Yeah, they currently do right now.
They all do?
Yeah, they do,
Everybody
yes,
has to
yes.
register?
If you have sprinkler systems in the city, you're required to pay the $300 fee.
But if you don't have a sprinkler, you just have a fire alarm system?
If they're connected to if they have a private alarm, there's plenty of private alarm businesses in the city, they're not hooked up to us, they don't have to pay the fee. But if they have a sprinkler system and they have a private alarm system, then they are required to pay us. Doesn't go to the fire department, it goes to the city. It's a $300 fee to the city every year. It's an annual fire alarm permit.
So as far as the fee piece, that hasn't changed? That's
No.
really not changed?
No.
Okay. So the only thing that we're changing here is,
The testing, so we're going to, and the fines.
and the fines. Okay,
Yes.
I'm good. Anybody, any questions?
Just,
Councilor Kadim?
so in terms of the old copper systems that were on the poles, are those all done? Are we,
No, not yet.
not yet?
No,
Okay.
we have, we started out with the city buildings, we started out setting up a network, because they're line of sight radios. So we started out with 30 buildings, 30 of the city buildings, and then, once the network was built, we opened it up into private companies. And we have in the neighborhood of about 220 radio boxes hooked up to us right now. I think there's 60 private alarm companies out there. So the rest of them, out of the 600 fire alarm boxes we have in the city, that are required to have fire alarm boxes, the other ones still have the banner circuits, which is the telephone lines.
Yep.
POTS lines, whatever you want to call it. Plain old telephone service is basically what it is. You know, at the time, it was great, but now they've come into disrepair, and we have to make changes, you know?
No, I think a lot of communities are moving in this direction anyways,
Yeah,
so I think
they
it,
have, yes.
I think it makes the most sense to do this. The fee itself, the $300 fee, it's not an increase, it's the same.
It's been,
Right, so that's just,
since I can remember.
so that's just
$300.
have we done a cost-benefit analysis for the time associated with going out to do these yearly inspections of these?
No, we have not. That's,
I guess that's the only thing I would just look at to see if, I mean, to figure out who's involved. Obviously, fire prevention goes out, the amount of time associated with it, to make sure that there's no additional cost, because I think if we're going to make a change, we might want to make sure that we're obviously recouping some of the costs for these annual fees.
I think the $300 will, that we're paying, that those private alarm companies are paying anyway.
Yep.
Because testing, again, if they have a problem with their testing, then it can be a little bit more expensive at the time. And that's why the fee schedule is in there, the $100 if they don't comply.
Yep.
You know?
Okay. I yield.
My only question is, okay, when you're testing these, even the ones that have connected directly to the fire department, are they tested?
They are, they're tested by the fire alarm companies per, when they, annually, every fire alarm is supposed to be tested. Okay, so they get tested at that time. Okay, and we know about that because we're receiving that call. And again, if it's a private alarm, we don't receive that call.
No, basically, when I'm connecting to the Fall River Fire Department,
Yes,
you are now monitoring my alarm.
yes.
So what I'm saying is that monitoring system checked by the Fall River Fire Department annually?
It's checked by the private alarm companies. The alarm companies that take care of their facilities' fire alarm are required to test it, and they're required to test the signal as well. So that's when the test is actually performed. There's a paper that says that that's actually been done. That being said, we don't know if a private alarm company is doing that testing, because we don't get that paperwork. They do that through their private alarm monitoring company. So we don't know if that's being tested. That's why we want to make sure that there's still connectivity there. You know, one of the issues now is the sprinkler systems are not, the water that's in the sprinkler systems aren't paid. It's not paid by it's paid by the city. It's not paid by the company that uses the water. It's not metered, as far as I know. So now, if, the idea behind this, if the alarms go, if there's a water leak inside the building, that water's just gonna flow, and it's on the city's dime, you know? So, it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we go there and shut the water down, otherwise it could be quite a bit of money, which is sort of what happened down in Duro when that system failed. You know, water flowed in that building for quite a while, because there's no fire alarm system in there.
About Durfee High School?
Durfee High School, yeah, and we had a hard time finding the shut-off to the building, because it had been covered over since the
No,
building
that's all I'm
was-
saying, is that should have been inspected, and people should have known where the shut-off was, but we
Yeah.
go there, we don't even know where the shut-off is.
Yeah.
But that wasn't being monitored by anybody. So I understand this.
Well,
but
we
I
went
wanna-
there, and it took us about 40 minutes to find a shut-off, yes.
Yeah, that's
But we did
scary.
shut the water off. We did shut the water off.
Any other questions? Discussion? All right, what do you want to do with it?
Motion to adopt?
Has
First reading?
has Corporation Council reviewed this?
I don't
No, not
believe
yet.
so.
After first reading, I
You
will
typically,
forward it.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had a discussion as I was coming in here with the city administrator, and for some odd reason, there's been a communication breakdown, I guess. She said that this wasn't quite in the right form or whatever, but I think it is, it seems like it is. But we'll do it, pass it through first reading, send it up and see what happens. If there's other issues, we can bring it back at that time. All right, so the motion is, pass through first reading?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
It'll be sent to the council for first reading.
Have a nice night.
You too.
If you talk to the chief, tell him to be safe on that motorcycle in Ireland.
Is that where he went?
Yeah.
He's on a ticket.
Driving across the country in a motorcycle.
Good guy.
Take care.
All right, so let's go back to where we are. Okay, second item.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
So those are the minutes of May 30, 2019 meeting. Motion to adopt has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No opposed. So be it. Huh? No. Unanimous. All right, we have number 3, proposed ordinance, traffic handicap parking. It was referred on 8/12/19. Any questions, discussions, motions?
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Preamble.
Second.
Motion to pass the emergency preamble has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We have miscellaneous traffic ordinances,
Motion to adopt.
referred 8/12/19. Motion to adopt has been made,
Second.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No, that one, no.
Okay,
Just first reading.
guess that does it, right?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. This meeting is now